Hi, listeners, and welcome to the Digestible Podcast, where we give you all the health and wellness information you need in an amount of time that your busy day can handle. And we make it easily digestible. I'm Stacy, along with my co-host and sister, Melissa/Missy. And who do we have here today, Missy?
Oh my gosh. So I met Rachel when I was visiting Canyon Ranch, and I said, you need to be on my podcast. So today she's been generous enough to give us her time, give you all her time. Rachel Portnoy. Rachel is a vegetarian and plant-based chef, and she's been teaching cooking classes at Canyon Ranch in Lenox, Massachusetts for 4 years. She received her training from Le Cordon Bleu and previously owned her own restaurant in the Berkshires. She has worked in many Michelin star restaurants in London, France, and Washington, D.C., and has over 30 years experience as a pastry chef.
And she does an amazing job of making it sound easy to make healthy food that tastes good. She was really fun to talk to.
And she's got some great ideas for us. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Melissa. Thanks so much for having me.
So you and I met at Canyon Ranch, where you serve as a chef and you are a teacher.
Yes, I am a demonstration chef, they call it. So
Yes.
I work in the restaurant. I only work in the demonstration kitchen.
Okay. And your background, though, you were a restaurant owner and head chef, yes?
So I started out cooking, then I became a pastry chef. And I worked as a pastry chef for 25 years. And during that time, we had a bakery, ran a restaurant, and got back into cooking when I went to Canyon Ranch, actually.
That's great. And that's quite a pivot from pastry making to teaching people how to cook and eat for their health. But we'd love to hear, because I thought your class was great, because you didn't just talk about, what's healthy versus not, sort of like how to sustain energy and if you're getting enough fiber and how to, eat foods that help you feel full. So that's what I thought we could talk about today, and you could share with our listeners some of the things you shared with us at Canyon Ranch, some of your wisdom and some fun ideas that you could share.
That's great, yes.
So let's start with snacking and mealing to keep you full and energized. So Can you talk about some strategies around that?
Yeah, definitely. So the beautiful thing is everything's connected and nothing's complicated. That's what I love about sort of the science-based way that we approach food and cooking at Canyon Ranch, is that basically everything's connected. So if you're doing the right things for certain health outcomes, like blood sugar regulation, or having more energy, fueling for exercise, or heart health, it all comes down to what's going to satiate you as well. It's all the same story. So it makes it really easy. I find no matter what I'm teaching, if I'm teaching about anti-inflammatory foods, or if I'm teaching about cooking for longevity, I'm telling the same story. So the basic strategy, it really comes down to spreading nutrition out throughout the day and making sure that you have enough dietary fiber at every meal, as well as enough protein. There's a big emphasis on protein, and the nutritionists at Canyon Ranch now are saying that fiber is going to be the nutrient of 2026. Protein.
I've been hearing that. So what's a good way to get more fiber in?
Yay! Thank you for asking that, Stacy. What's the best way to get more fiber? I put at the very top of this fiber pyramid beans, lentils, chickpeas, all those.
Love it!
Yeah. And guess what? When you talk about the blue zones, when you talk about cooking for longevity, what do they say? Beans, lentils,
beans. Vegetarian friendly.
Yeah, very vegetarian friendly. Vegetables. So seeds and nuts are second on my list.
Love it.
As a source of fiber, particularly seeds.
Seeds.
You are speaking my language. You are speaking my language. You're making me so happy.
So seeds like chia seeds.
Chia seeds, flax, ground flax, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds. Yum.
Great.
Delicious.
What about the hemp seeds? Are they hemp hearts? The hemp pieces?
Yeah, hearts are, they have fiber, definitely. They're more concentrated in protein. So
Okay.
again, you're talking about plant-based or vegetarian, great way to up protein in a dish is because hemp seeds are so weirdly concentrated in protein. I think it's weird. I don't know what you
Oh,
think.
How do
really?
you use them? I have them, but I don't ever really know what to do with them.
Well, so we put them in smoothies, and you can just sprinkle them on yogurt, sprinkle them on your granola, sprinkle them on your salad. You kind of don't even know they're there. And I think something like 3 grams of protein per tablespoon. I mean, it's something really, really weird. So
You keep saying weird. It's so funny.
I mean, I like carrots, chard, like you can see this is food. You're looking at these little hemp seeds, like, really? Like, what are they doing? Again, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, I think they're delicious. They're satisfying to eat. You can spice them. Hemp seeds, like, they don't even have really any taste. Anyway, but it's an easy way to get more protein, a little bit of fiber. I put chia at the top in terms of, like, intensity of fiber for the seeds. But let's go back to the beans and legumes and chickpeas, because I don't want to give them, I don't want to treat them as obvious. They're really, really versatile. But the other thing that we talk about a lot is they're so accessible. If I say to you, try to eat beans or lentils or chickpeas every day, to make sure you're getting 25 to 30 grams of dietary fiber a day, you're going to want something supercharged. And beans and lentils and chickpeas are supercharged. But if I say that to you and you have to soak those beans overnight, cook them for an hour the next day, it's not going to happen.
Can't you just get some of those beans in cans? Are they okay in cans?
Please get them in cans. Get all of them, okay? Just look at the can. Make sure it says organic on it. That makes me really happy because a lot of these beans are commodity crops. And I don't know what they do with commodity crops, so let's just get organic ones.
Thank you. I agree.
And then stock them all. Whatever ones you like. I love them all, so I always have a pantry full of beans and refried beans. Chickpeas. I don't generally buy lentils already cooked. You can. There definitely are lentils available already cooked, and you just heat them up. But they take
lentils don't take quite as long to cook, right?
So I don't bother with them. But if you want to, be my guest. Because lentils are actually at the top of the top.
Oh.
If you're interested. They're all good. All good.
I don't particularly enjoy lentils all the time.
I love lentils. You're making me so happy.
Melissa, you're coming back to Canyon Ranch. We're going to cook lentils and find...
Yay! Stacey taught me one recipe for lentil tacos, which were
back when I first became a vegan back in the day. I'm not vegan anymore. I'm pescatarian now. But lentil tacos, because you just use it as your meat replacement.
Yeah, but then I was like using those tortilla shells, and I was using like the packaged taco seasoning, and I was like, it's a little too processed now. For those of you who are listening and not watching, Rachel has brought a special guest, her pup. Who is this? Introduce us to your...
Hugo.
Hugo?
Oh, he's so cute.
He's adorable. He's beautiful. Beautiful. He's a dog, everybody. Canine friend Hugo. And it's
our canine
lovely.
Guest today.
Yes, we have no complaints. Great. Okay, so beans and lentils, chickpeas are at the top, and then nuts and seeds for fiber.
So what are good ways for people maybe who eat more meat, who don't use the beans? What's a good way for people to incorporate the beans and lentils into their diet?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting beans and lentils into a dish with meat, as far as I'm concerned. If you want it as a side dish, if I'm looking at dinner and it's just, maybe I'm going to throw some fish in the oven to roast, maybe some veggies to roast, or a salad. But opening that can of white beans, I'll wet some onions and garlic, maybe a little hot pepper flakes. I like to put a splash of wine because I cook with wine because it gives acidity, or just some stock, If you have boxes of veggie stock or organic veggie stock or chicken stock, whatever you like, you can also use water and finish, throw the beans in, let them simmer for 10 minutes next. If you have some pesto, you could stir some pesto into that.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it can be a side. We love to make things like Moroccan, where you just throw you can throw chicken or meat, brown it, throw in some harissa or like a Moroccan spice blend, can of tomatoes, some stock, whatever vegetables work, and a couple cans of chickpeas. We'll eat that for days. I usually do it vegetarian. We do the meat kind of on the side for our family, but whatever works for you. It's really, really delicious, really easy.
That sounds good.
So you can always incorporate the beans and lentils directly into it. Another one of my obviously tacos, is one of my favorite ways, just making some black beans. Maybe you're usually just do meat and, shred vegetables and get some salsa and some cheese, put some beans in a pan, just like I just said. Put some of that seasoning, that taco seasoning on the beans too, if you want to. It's delicious. And just make sure that you're getting them in somehow every day would be great. One more thing I want to say, though, about it before we move on, and this applies because we have to talk about vegetables. Next on the pyramid is vegetables and fruits for fiber, okay? So knowing that even if you're eating meat, or, non-vegetarian, you're still, as long as you get tons of vegetables and fruits into your day, you're getting plenty of fiber as well. Sure, certain vegetables have more than others, but in general, if you get a good variety of vegetables, you're good. But or fruit. But the thing I want to say that I think is really important when we're talking about fiber, because we're talking about fiber in this context for gut health, we're also talking about it for satiety. Okay? And when we talk about that, it's really important distinction to realize the more something looks like the thing, the better you're going to get the benefit of the fiber in it. Okay? The nutrients aren't going anywhere. For example, a kale smoothie, all right? That's a really easy one to visualize. You make a kale smoothie. The kale has a lot of fiber, which is great. Also, whatever fruits you put in there, whatever else you put in there. But you've got that great blender. It's making it super smooth. So at that point, you kind of processed it. And you've kind of, if you want to think of it as unravel those fibers a little bit, or if you want to think of it as it's just going to go faster through your digestive system because it's so smooth.
So you might get some of the vitamins benefit, but not the fiber.
The fiber isn't going to be as effective, which is where using something like some chia seeds or some ground flax seeds in a smoothie, if you want the smoothie to really be impactful for your gut health, for your dietary fiber intake, and for that satiety that we're talking about, right? If the smoothie's going to be a snack that needs to hold you for a while, okay? One thing about me, I don't do smoothies that much, even though I teach people in Kenyan Ranch a lot about smoothies. I need to chew, right? Drinking my food is never going to satiate me. A lot of us need to chew. Our saliva has an enzyme that tells our brain we ate. So when we chew and we release that enzyme, we tell our brain we ate. It's kind of how that pint of sorbet goes down. Like, you didn't even really get it.
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
That's so interesting. So your mouth, when you create saliva, which you create when you're chewing, it's a part of the digestion process. It signals that you're eating. So you get the
I hear a lot from people. They're like, "Oh, smoothies don't fill me up," and that would be why.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be why, and then of course making sure there's enough protein in the smoothie and enough fiber. So that's why I'm saying to be aware of this phenomenon. Like chickpeas, we're talking about chickpeas. They're great. Definitely sprinkling some seeds or whole chickpeas on top of your hummus when you're eating it.
I just thought that was for show. I thought that was just to make it pretty.
So you have to chew.
Exactly.
But you should chew. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Just thinking, just having that image in my mind helps me,
Okay.
to look like the
Yes.
thing.
I like
Okay,
that.
it has to look
And then
like
with
the
chia
thing.
seeds, I've always made like chia seed pudding, right? With like
Uh-huh.
a nut milk or something in the fridge. Because the soaking of them, right, like
Yeah.
makes them, it enlarges them. But you can put them in your smoothie and not soak them. You can just put them in your smoothie and just drink
I
them
put them in
down.
my yogurt. I just wait a couple minutes.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't take long for chia seeds to hydrate. They call it
Okay.
overnight, but I find in like 15 minutes they're usually pretty much. And it's weird. Again, I find these seeds very weird. The fact that chia hydrate best with cold liquids, which usually in cooking we want to speed up a reaction, we heat things up, right? But chia do great with cold. But
Okay.
I personally, a couple things. First of all, if you put them directly in your smoothie, pretty quickly, within 10-15 minutes, you'll want to eat your smoothie with a spoon. They're going to thicken it up.
Very
right?
thick, yeah.
So maybe you want that. Maybe that's cool for you. I don't want that necessarily. So I always hydrate my chia seeds. And I also don't love running to a recipe box or opening a recipe on my phone and having to keep consulting it or getting a book out. I like to just do stuff in the kitchen because it's faster, right? As you can tell by me like opening that can of beans and throwing in some onion and whatever. So with chia, it's 4-to-1, okay? To hydrate chia seeds into that pudding consistency, the ratio is 4-to-1. So that's really easy for me. If I take a little jar or a little storage container for the fridge, fill it up, I just eyeball it. It's not a wedding cake. You don't have to measure,
Right.
But look at it. It looks about 25%. Cool. Fill it with my whatever milk I like. And I like to put a little cinnamon and vanilla in there because it's delicious and it tastes sweet to me if I put those things in there. And I like sweet things. As I told you, I was a pastry chef for 25 years.
Right.
So I don't put any sweetener in it, but I put some vanilla and cinnamon, stir it together. I've got enough, if I do a container, like a pint container, whatever, I've got enough for the week. And I'll throw it in smoothies or I'll throw it in my yogurt. I like it better already hydrated in my yogurt, and that makes my yogurt fill me up better.
I love this because I don't like to read the recipes either. I just want to throw things in. Rachel, I'm enjoying you so much. I can't with the lentils and the beans and the seeds, and I can throw things in and I don't have to read a recipe. This is fabulous.
This is what I do.
I think so. On the flip side of that, because Stacey's been cooking longer than obviously I have. She's my older sister, but also she's always been into food and preparing foods for her family long before I did. So I was always uncomfortable with not following the recipe. The only way I don't follow a recipe is if I've memorized it. Yeah. Right? And I've tweaked my own smoothie and whatever. But so there are a lot of people out there who are just like, I know, and I'm trying to get more comfortable with the idea of at least twice a week I'm prepping and preparing and thinking ahead of what I want to eat so that there's food in the fridge ready to go or there's meals ready to go, so I'm not reacting when I'm eating. I'm just there's food already made that I know is healthy. So how do you, it sounds like you enjoy cooking all the time, so like every day, but do you recommend to people who come to you and are like, Rachel, I'm not going to cook every day. I don't even know, my whole life is convenience and I'm running around. What do you do? How do you recommend to people to carve out time to make ahead foods that are healthy? Is there like a convenient, short, I'd hate to say shortcut because I don't think there's always a shortcut.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack in what you just said. Because everybody's different, and the way we organize our day and the way we organize our lifestyle and our priorities is so different that I can never be like, this is what you need to do, because maybe 1% of people would actually do it, right? It's not going to jive with everybody. So, and I am not a planner. I wish I was. I know I'm lucky that I don't mind cooking and that I'm fast because I'm professionally trained. So, nothing takes me too long. And combining flavors and things like that has always come very naturally to me, even before I was professionally cooking. So I know that I've been lucky with that because everybody needs to eat. And so a lot of times what I start talking about with people is really even just making choices when they go to a salad bar, when they go to buy prepared foods, when they go to, to a restaurant, like how to make maybe some smarter choices, but depending on what goals you have, because realistically, if you're not into it, it's not happening, And I know this because I don't like going to the gym, and yet I have a beautiful gym at work every day, right?
Right.
So where's my excuse? Yeah. So I think it's great to try, if you want to try and do that meal planning. But I definitely like people to stock themselves for success at home. Having those cans of beans in the pantry, having nuts and seeds on hand. Most of those I'm going to keep in the freezer just to make sure they stay fresh.
Oh. Which ones do you keep in the freezer?
Walnuts, pecans, things like that. Now, the whole seeds like sunflower and pumpkin keep a little longer in the pantry. Chia seeds keep a really long time in the pantry, and hemp. But the ground flax seeds absolutely have to stay in the fridge or the freezer. Oh, they are very perishable. Great. And all those nuts that have already been shelled, they're perishable. So to make sure I've got them on hand, because if I'm saying, to throw those on top of salads, to throw them into yogurt or whatever, great. I make my own granola because I like to do it, right? And I like to do it so I have control, so I can put tons of seeds in there, bunch of nuts. But most people aren't going to do that. Just buying granola, but looking and getting the ones that are barely sweet. Almost any good granola company has a flavor that's less sweet or barely sweet, because granolas can be really loaded with oils and sugars.
Yeah.
So you think you're eating something healthy and you are getting fiber, great. But if it's a lot of more oil and sugar than you want for your goals. The other thing is, when if you're married to recipes, my mom was always married to recipes because she hated cooking. So if it wasn't in the recipe, it wasn't going to happen. It was always going to be perfectly done. Like, she was a good cook. She just hated it. But when I look at a recipe, say in our cooking classes, one of the recipes we do a lot at Canyon Ranch is chicken piccata. Chicken piccata is a pantry meal, so it makes me really happy because you need a little flour. Any kind of flour will do. If you're gluten-free, whatever, you can use a gluten-free blend or an oat flour. It needs a carton of stock, some capers, which keep forever in the fridge, and a lemon. So the only thing is the lemon. Well, when you're, so it's essentially a pantry meal to me, and really quick and easy. And it doesn't have to be chicken. You can piccata anything. You can piccata a piece of fish. You can piccata shrimp. Like, what wouldn't be delicious with lemon and caper and some stock?
Good point.
Right?
I'm taking good notes here.
I know. These are great ideas. These are great.
But I'm not done.
Okay.
What else? What vegetable wouldn't be delicious in that sauce? I would love broccoli in that sauce. I would love asparagus in there. I would love mushrooms. I would love peppers, zucchini, onions, some garlic. Why not? Like, just
and
load
you just
it
put,
in the pan.
Put flour in there too, because that helps thicken the sauce. Is that
helps to thicken the sauce? You can put the flour and the protein. What I'll do in class when I show people, and even a can of white beans would make me happy.
Making me so happy. Okay.
Right? So I'll take the protein, flour it, brown it in the pan, pull it out for a minute onto a plate, throw the vegetables in, give them a little sweat. Now we put the stock, the capers, the lemon juice, put the protein back in, cook it down for a minute.
I want to be like you, Rachel and Stacey. I want to be like, I'm going to try
I want to be like Rachel. I just want to go eat by Rachel. Rachel, you make it. I just want to come eat it.
Because I'm such a recipe follower, because if I don't do it right, I'm afraid it's going to be miserable. So I don't even get creative. I mean, the only thing I've gotten creative was I was using this Mark Hyman's lamb meatball recipe, and my husband's like, "What if we tried that with turkey or with chicken?" And everyone likes it in my family. There's less fat in it, so I have to usually add a little fat to the pan when I'm cooking them, so they don't. It's bizarre, but it's like I'm like, this is the recipe. I got to make sure, because I just am afraid. I think I need to be more brave. I think I need to be brave.
I mean, I don't know. I know that people get really hung up about when I say, just throw that baby spinach in there. It's not, right? What could be bad? Like, I have seen a couple people with absolutely no culinary instinct, okay? I have seen a couple people come in and make like a soup or something like take what I said to heart and then just throw something kind of, I don't think I've chosen that.
All right, listeners, listen up. That's not you. You have, be brave. Try it out.
You have creativity. Yes.
Right. We're always learning. We're always learning. And if you find something that works, write it down, because I'm the worst. I forget everything. So, you know, when you find like, oh yeah, like if you're looking at I like cookbooks, or, you know, make a note just so you remember, hey, I added peppers last time. It was delicious, or whatever.
Okay.
I found a soup recipe. I like to make soups. And so I found this great soup recipe, and then I completely like added all these other things to it. And so now when I make it, people are like, can I have the recipe? I'm like, yeah, it's just called Stacy's favorite soup, because I just took this recipe. It's almost unrecognizable, but though it goes her base, but I
love that. I love that. And talking about soups and talking about sustaining yourself with snacks and meals, let's just for 1 second talk about soup, because I love how soups are, first of all, they're really easy to make, very fun to make, very flexible. It can get so much of this stuff that we're talking about into just the soup, right? You can pack it with vegetables, you can pack it with beans or lentils, and it's always delicious in my book. But also you can make a lot of it, and you can freeze some. That's also beautiful. Yeah. But, you know, so much of our day, you know, we're on the go so much. We don't really think about our meals enough during the day. So one of the most important things that I've learned is to spread your nutrition out throughout the day. You know, our bodies on average are metabolizing, processing, benefiting from about 30 to 40 grams of protein at a sitting. Okay? So when you go over 30 to 40 grams, that's about 4 to 5 ounces. When you go over 4 to 5 ounces of protein, it's mostly wasted.
Oh, so that's good to know. So 100 grams of protein in a meal is not beneficial for anyone.
It's never, ever, and it validates, Stacey, it validates that vegetarian lifestyle or pescatarian lifestyle, right? Where you know that, you know, you need to spread out your protein throughout the day, because you're not going to be able to get 8 or 10 ounces of protein at one meal in a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. It's just, it would be way too much food, right? So what's interesting though is, you know, knowing that, and then you get through the day on fumes or little scraps of protein here and there or other nutrition. And then, you know, at the end of the day is when we're looking to get that big injection of fuel, because we're starving. You know, we've been running around all day. We didn't get the right amount of fuel to sustain our energy. So we went on adrenaline and fumes, and now we've got to eat, and we eat too much. So we haven't done our body any good, because we didn't get the benefit when we needed it. And now our body's getting ready to go to bed, right? All of our systems slowing down, and you're giving yourself the best injection of energy and fuel of the day. So going back to soup, since I just said soup can have all this stuff in it and we're on the go, you know, all of us have really cool water bottles now. I don't know about you. When I was growing up, we didn't walk around with water bottles like we do now. So that's great. We're all much better hydrated than we were when I was little. But there's really cool thermoses. And I know that like the gift giving season is over, but just get yourself a present. If you don't already have a nice thermos, a cool thermos, because if you make one of those nice soups on your prep day, Melissa, or, you know, if you just like making soups like Stacey, putting it in a thermos when you're on the go and you don't have time for a proper meal and it's packed with all this good stuff that you threw in there, like, wouldn't that be the best gift?
Yes. And you can literally drink it from your thermos if you really wanted to.
Exactly.
My husband always puts gazpacho in a glass, which I found bizarre.
I do too.
Oh, do you? It's funny. I'm like, dude, the soup. It's
I love gazpacho. I love gazpacho so much. It's very easy to drink the way I make it. You know, I put it in the blender, but I keep it a little texture. And even like when I had my restaurant, I used to make the Bloody Mary mix. Because I love that. I don't like Bloody Marys, but I love Bloody Mary mix, and I would mix it up, and you always have to taste it to make sure you got enough lemon juice, enough horseradish, enough black pepper, Worcestershire Tabasco. That's it, and tomato juice or vegetable juice.
That sounds delicious.
So delicious. I would always pour myself a glass and just drink it.
That's so funny.
I
Well, I
love
guess
that.
I mean it's liquid,
Right, it's like
so why wouldn't
fresh,
you?
like tomato vegetable juice.
It's almost like gazpacho.
All right, Rachel, I have a burning question for you because I feel like this is my and probably most people's downside. Help us with the snacks. This is where I go off the rails. I plan my breakfast every day because I go to work. I bring my lunch. We meal plan our dinners on Sundays. Like, we're good to go. It's that like time you get snacky that everything falls apart.
Okay, so I love that. Thank you. So snacks are the chance to fill in some of the gaps of your nutrition for the day, is the way I like to think about them. Very intentional. If you don't get 30 grams of protein at breakfast, because I just told you, try and get 30, right? If you don't, try, say you get 15, 20. If you have 2 eggs, you're getting about 15, all right? 2 eggs with some whole grain toast, 15, 16. So you're going to be hungry. You're going to need a snack. So another 10 grams of protein for your snack, right, would be maybe a Greek yogurt is usually about 12 to 15, maybe some cottage cheese. Like I said, a smoothie, if you put a half a scoop of smoothie powder, protein powder, that's usually about 10 grams. So making it work for you. If you know you're not getting any beans today in your plan, some hummus for your snack counts to me. You're getting some chickpeas, that's great. If you know you're not going to have maybe salads or enough vegetables, using vegetables as your snack, letting them snack sort of fill in the gaps in your nutrition. If you need, again, more protein, more fiber, more fruits or vegetables, because those are the things that I really like to focus on with people. A lot of times when you go to like a holistic kind of treatment or something, they talk about handfuls of nuts. I used to, like I said, for 25 years, I was a pastry chef. I was also vegetarian, and I was pretty much starving all the time. And I would have toast with peanut butter for breakfast, and I was starving an hour later. Nuts have a lot of healthy fat in them. Fat slows things down in our system, but it's not as effective as protein and fiber. So it's not going to work if it's a lot of nuts.
So a handful of almonds or something is not
way too much fat. Yeah, it's just way too much fat. It's not enough. You can have almonds with your snack, but if it's just almonds, you're probably going to be...
not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to eat enough of them for them to fill you up because they're so rich.
But if you pair your almonds with like an apple...
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Almond butter with an apple, or some almonds, whole nuts with an apple with the skin. Now we're talking about fiber. We're talking about satiety, but it's definitely not a good source of protein. So even, putting your hemp seeds, stirring something into a nut butter can be a way to make it, some chia seeds or some hemp seeds or something, just to get that satiety, to make it do the work you want it to do. And that's why I keep talking about my thermos, because that soup, it would be a great snack.
Yeah. What do you think about like raspberries? Because like I can eat a whole, is it half a pint of raspberries or something?
Yeah.
In one sitting because of all the they say there's so much fiber in it. But do you think that's enough for a snack? Not going to do it.
Again, it depends on your whole day. They can be a really good snack. The only thing I'm going to say that kind of triggers me to say is variety. So if we're talking about gut health, so if you love raspberries and raspberries are always your snack, or if you love an apple or a banana and that's always your snack, making sure you get variety in the other things you're eating that day in terms of produce, or just mixing it up sometimes, being like, let's have raspberries today and an apple tomorrow and a banana the next day, right? Mixing it up.
Mix it up.
So when we talk about gut health, we have trillions of microorganisms in our gut, and they don't all like the same food.
Yeah.
So if we're trying to nourish our gut, which is essentially what we're trying to do with everything for any health outcome, that's what we're doing, because our gut is in charge of so much of our well-being. So we need to give it the food it loves the most, which is fiber. The second favorite food are probiotic live bacteria and variety, because there's just so many microbes and they don't all like the same food. So like I love the same Siggy's yogurt every morning for breakfast. I love to stir a half a scoop of whey powder in it to get it to 30 grams of protein. Put my chia seed, I told you, that sludge I make, and chia pudding, whatever you want to call it, nicer than sludge. My homemade granola, And I like a banana. I like to put a banana in there. So if I have that every day, doesn't that sound like a great breakfast? It is a great breakfast. And it keeps me full till 1 o'clock, which is great. I'm not looking for a cookie anymore. Those days are over. It's great. But my gut isn't necessarily happy having the same food every day. Okay?
I think the rule of thumb they say is like try to get 30 different plants. Yeah.
That's why. That's why.
I'm reading a book called Nourish. I think it's called Nourish by Fred Provenza. And he says that, we can learn a lot from animals, and that animals that graze naturally can get up to 100 different species of plants and, food sources in a day. And that before we were agricultural beings, before we were we would do something similar. Like our bodies, we would just find so many different kinds of nuts and seeds and fruits and vegetables and things and whatever. And now it's something like grocery stores have something like 15 that we eat mostly.
I bet.
And that's it. So we do need that variety.
Exactly. I like to be seasonal as much as I can because that's how I was trained, and I do think that makes sense. So, okay, there's that limitation. But yeah, we don't want a butternut squash soup in June. We just don't. I don't know. Who does? Even if you love it. Right? Our body kind of gravitates towards things in a seasonal way, and maybe that limits. But I just like that image of okay, you open the refrigerator and you're like, okay, what are we going to eat? What am I in the mood for? If you can just kind of shift a little bit and be like, what does my gut need? Did I already have a salad today? So maybe I'll have some hummus now with rice, with seed crackers, or, maybe I'll have an apple with some nut butter, or, just mixing it up, something that I haven't already had, as well as what you want, right? It's not just about your brain and what it wants. It's about your gut too.
Gut.
Yes. That's helpful.
What's our gut want? Oh my gosh, this is so helpful. So with one topic we haven't hit on yet, but this is a big one and it's hard for a lot of people, which is fermented foods.
Yay, my favorite.
And fermented foods are important because that's food for our gut, isn't it? Our gut bacteria really likes the fermented foods. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I love fermented foods. I'm obsessed actually with fermented foods. I use them all the time, all day at work, and trying to use them at home as well. But what's interesting, like I said, the easiest thing when we're thinking about feeding our gut what it needs so that it can do its work. It's in charge of 70% of our immune system. It's in charge of a lot of our cognitive function, our mood, our skin, inflammation, helping control inflammation, blood sugar regulation, we need to feed our gut what it loves. Its first favorite food is dietary fiber. That's why we spent so much time talking about that earlier. Its second favorite food are probiotic bacteria. So the best ways to get that in, and again, same thing, if I eat my Siggy's yogurt every day, they list on the side 6 lactobacillic bacteria. So if that's my only fermented food, then the parts of my microbiome that love those 6 are happy, but not everybody else, right? So I've got to mix it up. I've got to force myself either buy different brands of yogurt, right? Or use kefir sometimes, drink some kefir. We make a lot of dressings with miso because it is so delicious.
Miso, that's right.
Miso is my favorite one actually. But now there's cottage cheeses that you can buy that have live cultures. They say it right on the label. There's cultured buttermilk you can use to make a dressing. Kombucha is my easiest way. I'll buy a bottle of kombucha. I make that bottle last all week. I don't need to drink a whole bottle of kombucha, my friends. It's way too strong. It's more than we need. Again, you don't want to overdo anything, right? So in one sitting, there's billions of microorganisms in your kombucha. So about a big splash like this in my water bottle, top it up with water. I'll sip on that all day. I know I'm getting some good bacteria.
Okay, this is a major aha moment because I feel bad that I don't like kombucha and I don't want to drink it, but I never thought about making a bottle last all week and just putting a shot of it in my water.
It's like squeezing some lemon in your water at that point.
And
I would buy the store made, even at Whole Foods, the kombucha, but then it's full of sugars and it's over sweetened, I think, right? It's
you can look, because it's so strong. They'll add like a lot of watermelon juice or mango juice or something, make it yummy,
Right.
and then maybe it has more sugar than you want. So, look for the ones that have the lowest carbs, because even in the same brand on the label, I'll see a huge variation between. Usually I see the ginger and turmeric ones have the lowest carb count.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even the lowest carb count is maybe 17 or 18 grams of carbs in the bottle. If I'm drinking it over 4 or 5 days, I can add 4 grams of carbs to my water.
Okay.
That's
So
not a big deal, right?
break it up.
Okay.
Break it up.
This was
Don't take it all at once.
fabulous.
This is helpful.
Yeah.
This was-
Right. When we were at Canyon Ranch, one of the things on the menu was kefir, and I'd been hearing about it, and I was like, I'm just going to try it. And it wasn't sweetened, and actually really, I enjoyed it. It was just a little glass. So I'll drink a little bit every day or two. I'll have like a little bit. But also like I'll put it in my yogurt bowl.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, just to add a little. But kefir is something that I think people could try. That if you can do yogurt, you could add fruit to it. You could add honey, a little honey if you wanted,
Sure,
right.
absolutely. Put it in your smoothie. Make it be part of the liquid for your smoothie.
What do you do with the miso? Because I've done it on my fish, which I love, like miso crusted fish. But other than that, I don't. It just sits in my pantry.
Okay, so few things to say about that. Wait, let me just go back to the kefir for 1 second, because we're talking about variety.
Yeah.
When you look at the side of the kefir, there's usually 12 to 15 strains of bacteria in the kefir.
Ooh, wow.
So yeah.
Superfood.
That's why
Okay.
it's a really good one to use in place of yogurt sometimes to get that variety. Miso can have 25 to 30 strains of bacteria in it.
Oh my gosh.
And so can kombucha. Okay? And so can sauerkraut and kimchi. 25 to 30 strains of bacteria. So we're talking about variety, and they also happen to be delicious. Now, let's talk about cooking fermented foods. Fermented foods are really, really delicious, right? When you ferment a food, you develop all kinds of flavor, complexity, acidity, depth of flavor, savoriness, all kinds of good stuff happens on the flavor front, which will not be affected by cooking. It will still be delicious, right?
Oh, okay.
But the probiotics will die.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah, the
so
heat.
if you
Damn.
so if you roast fish, one quick thing, like those glazes for fish with miso, we make one at Canyon Ranch in cooking class a lot, and it's honey and mirin and lime juice and miso. Basically, you can put garlic or ginger in it or whatever you want, but it's delicious. You can smear it on any protein you want. It's so good. But then you're going to cook it. So what I usually do in class is keep back some of the glaze. Don't put it all on the protein. And then I just put a splash of rice wine vinegar and a splash of sesame oil in the glaze. And then we toss it on some slaw or some salad. It's a delicious dressing.
Oh.
So
Okay. Like a seaweed salad or something.
And raw in a really quick and easy way. But I do have a lot of dressings that use miso. One that's really popular is like the carrot dressing that's in a lot of Japanese restaurants, where you grind up
I love that.
carrot with honey and rice wine vinegar and miso, white or yellow miso, and you get this really addictive, sweet and savory and acidic dressing. But we do with tahini or peanut butter. It's just so delicious in almost every dressing. So yeah, good one.
That is a good one. Thank
and what
you.
about the kimchi? Because I did buy some at the store, because I'm very optimistic that I'm going to try and do something with it, but it's still just sitting there in my fridge. What do I do with that?
My favorite, I love kimchi. I'll just make like a tofu stir fry, put the kimchi on top on a rice bowl or a grain bowl. It's so good.
Done. I will do that. Okay.
Another thing that's really good, Korean way to have it, is to make like a thin omelet. And you can fill the omelet with rice and put the kimchi on top of that. It's really good. And look, you're getting a lot of goodness.
Isn't it really spicy? I tried kimchi once and I almost
I got a mild one because I'm not good with spicy.
You can get mild ones. You can get mild ones now. It's my favorite ferment to do because I do it in class a lot because it's so quick and easy. You can make a delicious kimchi in like 2 or 3 days. It just sits on the counter, does its thing. So about 15 minutes of active work max, and then you leave it for a few days, and then you get this kimchi. You can make a big container of it. But once it tastes sour enough to you, which could be after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, once it tastes sour enough to you, you put it in the refrigerator. You will slow down the fermentation because you put it in the fridge, but you will not stop it. Okay, it will still ferment and get stronger. Just so you know.
Okay.
So heat it up.
Great.
That's great.
Get it and eat it
Thank
up.
you.
Wait, if it gets very strong, I cook it. I saute it or make a miso soup with it or something, because I know I'm killing the probiotics, but it's too strong. Once it's too strong, I won't enjoy it raw, so I cook it and that mellows it out.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, that's great.
I've been dying to know what to do with it.
Now you know.
I love the omelet.
I
love that omelet with the rice. It's so good.
All right. Rachel, here at the Digestible Podcast, we like to ask our guests 2 final questions. The first one being, if you could give our listeners a takeaway or a to-do from today's discussion, what would it be?
All the cliches are true. Okay? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and variety is the spice of life.
I love it.
that.
Oh my gosh, that's
great. Okay. Thank you.
So we also like to say here at the podcast, don't panic, just pivot. Would you be willing to share a pivot or small change that you've made in your life that's made a big difference?
Shifting my mindset, making sure, giving more priority to fueling myself all day long and getting to the end of the day, not looking for, all of my nutrition. So most of the time, because my husband's pre-diabetic, we don't have any carbs at dinner. We just have vegetables and protein. And that's okay, because I've gotten the carbs I needed when I needed them throughout the day to fuel me. So and I only eat sourdough bread since I started making it 4 years ago when I went to Canyon Ranch, started teaching it. We only do, again, for that fermentation. Fermentation doesn't just make probiotics. It also makes all the nutrition in the food more available. So that's why I'm so obsessed with it. When you're eating a fermented food, you're getting more of the nutrients in that food.
This has been great. Thank you. Well, I hope everyone's gotten some great ideas. We've really talked about a lot of different examples of way to get protein and fiber, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you for listening to the Digestible Podcast with today's guest, Chef Rachel Portnoy of Canyon Ranch. Stacey and I are really excited about trying some of Rachel's recipe ideas. We hope you are too. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share us with others. It's the best compliment you can give us. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach us at info@digestiblestrategies.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And remember, don't panic, just pivot. The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.